Okay. Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it, especially since it's been 2 weeks in a row for a lot of you. But we had some big changes this year. So we definitely want to make sure everybody has platform and space to read through what's been posted and then come together and ask your questions. And so we can all go into March kind of with a general understanding and hopefully maybe even a little excited about what's coming up this season. But we did want to start by saying thank you again to the folks that came to our work day yesterday. We know the park appreciates it, and we certainly appreciate it as folks that use it every month. Definitely made some good steps towards fixing a lot of the stuff that we can make a dent in as far as repairs and cleanup goes for just to make the site easier to use and more livable. But we do appreciate that, and also wanted to encourage folks again to take advantage of the new community programs that we've started for the 2024 season, the fellowship program and the voting and the volunteer systems. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, please go watch the recording from last week where we talked about all of those. And we also posted a changes document that goes over some of that. But it's all available through the website as well, thanks to Jillian and her team. And we are recording tonight's conversation as well, so we will be posting that tonight for anybody that can't make it or just has questions later and you want to remember what was discussed. But primarily tonight we're going to be going over additional rules update, but before we get into that, I want to make a not so secret announcement. So many of you, probably most of you, are aware that one of Amanda and I's big goals for this game was to have an online character engine. Something that, was more manageable, more visible, gave you guys more visibility and control over your characters. And we have had a fantastic group of staff and volunteers working on that for the past year. And we're really excited about the potential for that. Unfortunately, despite everybody's hard work and by no fault of their own, simply limitations in the framework of what we're building in, we did not have that ready to launch in March like we planned. We're still hopeful to have it up and available soon, but we did want to let you guys know that it is on its way, because we have made big changes that are affecting a lot of characters, either whether it's the ancestry changes or the warrior tree or legacy. And so we have been getting a lot of questions about respins, and we wanted to dissuade you guys from doing the respins that either lose you the ability to have a specific skill again or cost you build. Because when we are able to launch this system, basically what's going to happen is you're going to create your account, you're going to create your character and put your character name in there. We're going to load you up with your build, and everybody gets a full respin from there. A full and complete respin. Ancestry, class, everything ground up, you get to rebuild your character. And so, again, we don't have a specific launch date yet, because we're still working with the folks whose system we're building in. But we are very hopeful to get it launched very soon. So we ask that you guys just give us a little bit more grace and bear with us, at least the March event, and see what we can do, maybe for April, maybe for May. But definitely as soon as I can get away from this pen and paper bullshit. So, with that said, The folks, I'm going to start out by talking about the rules updates. Um, I'm going to give my 2 cents about where this is coming from, and then I'm going to hand it over to Daryl, who, of course, is our super expert. Um, but a lot of conversations that we have with new players and folks that are trying to learn our game um, revolve around just the complexity of the rules, how many rules we have. And, I've said it a lot. This is a big game. It's a major rule system, but it's no worse than any typical sport that somebody would play. Like if you were joining a flag football league, the only difference is you haven't known about flag football and the rules for that since you were, I don't know, 3, 7, whatever age that a lot of people start learning about these things. So, one of our goals has been to try to make the rules more comprehensive, leaner, without losing a lot of depth to the rules. And 2 easy targets, in my mind, were these skill tree systems that don't really fit in anywhere in our standard rules. We also did it with, you saw it with the crafting. And, Mike and Daryl and our team did a great job of creating a crafting system that replicates and mimics and really not only enhances the crafting system we had before, but also incorporates elements of the game that exist in other forms to help people. If you learn how to do pulls, you can do it for crafting or you can do it for formal kind of thing. And so we really wanted to go through those existing structures within the tiered skills and pull them back into the core of our game. So we also, as always, across the board, are looking to make sure things are balanced. Things provide options for different types of play styles and different fantasy, I don't want to say tropes, but, different elements of fantasy classes and things that people have in their mind that they like. Within any system, there are going to be nuances and there are going to be things that simply work better as a specific class. But for the most part, we do try to give everybody the opportunity to find something that works for what they want to play and how they want to play. And so, with one class getting this unique system and then other classes, like there was just such a snowball thing that was going to happen. And we always have to be careful of power creep because we don't want to have to be one of those games that has to completely reset and start from scratch because things have just become untenable, right? We want this to go on for another 20 years as it is, with the folks that we have and being able to play in the world that we love. So, all of that being said, in an ideal world, like I said, we would have launched this at the same time as character engine system and let everybody respend, and then the build that you had spent into those systems wouldn't be an issue. But as anybody who has been on plot or new player or has tried to run anything knows, it never goes to plan. So we've had to pivot. And what we're going to do is in March, anybody that has warrior tree skills or existing legacy skills from the old system, you guys are going to play with those from the old system exactly as they were in March. However, I've already gone through and refunded the build that you have spent. For legacy folks, anything that was legacy points you've gotten back as build. Whether it was spent or unspent. You'll see it on your envelope as part of your total build. For Warrior Tree folks, same thing. Whatever you had spent in Warrior Tree is going to be on your envelope, so you know what your total build is. And at checkout, you want to put how you want to spend that. Whether you choose to spend that build or not, come April, the new legacy and warrior system, like everything that we're going to talk about tonight, is going to be active. no old warrior tree, no old legacy abilities will be able to be played after March, period. If you are going to miss March, but you're coming to April, you can go ahead and message us and tell us how you want your build spent for April. I won't be getting to it before the March event, but I will have it ready for you in April. Again, assuming that we have to push the MyLARP launch again. Otherwise, you guys will be able to do it yourselves, which is so exciting. But yeah, so does anybody have any initial questions about how the March to April transition is going to happen for Legacy Warrior skills? Okay, I'm not seeing any in the chat. So I am going to hand it over to Daryl to walk us through more of the details on what has changed and what the new system looks like.
All right, thank you. I'm going to share my screen here in just a second. I created another sort of quick reference document just for these changes, and I'm fairly certain Jillian has taken the first document with the ancestry changes and this document, combined them and put them on the website. I would still encourage you to read especially the playtest section of the rulebook if you have specific questions. I will probably go more in depth on the new base skills that we're introducing, just because there's a handful. I will not go line by line on every legacy skill. A lot of them have been in the game previously. It's just a slight change on how things are operating. But if there are specific questions, folks can enter them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as we go. So I will share my screen real quick and get started. Alrighty. Zoom in. So Jesse has probably covered a little bit of this, but I'll do it again. Obviously, the first bullet point, biggest issue, the reason most of everyone is here tonight. The Warrior skill tree and Legacy skill systems have been reworked. Those prior systems are no longer valid. Asterisk. What Jesse said about March is still true. So that note is for the rest of the year, or available for purchase. That part is true. You'll be able to start purchasing the new system with March checkout. Just a general sort of caveat: the new base skills and legacy skills are in playtest and are subject to change. It is a game-wide playtest. We didn't want to hold this back. We wanted to get it in as many people's hands as we could. So subject to change. If things get really broken, or we see things are really underpowered for the limited number of legacy slots that are available, we may make those adjustments during the course of the playtest. Jesse already mentioned all builds spent on the Warrior skill tree will be refunded. You can spend it after the March event, and those legacy points no longer exist. The legacy skills are now just going to be purchased build, and it sounds like Jesse's already done the refunding one-to-one legacy points to build points. And just to make those folks who were the apprentices in that system, just to ease any uncomfortableness you may have, any apprentices who receive that additional build from the mentors, you're keeping it. We're not going to go audit and we'll build back. No, you've got that build. Just a real quick statement on the base skills. One of the things that was present in both the old legacy skill system and the warrior skill trees is you could purchase something more one time and get more than one use per reset out of it, which is counter to how every other skill in the game works. If you buy one slate, you can use it once per reset, that sort of thing. So all of the base skills, this is also applicable to the legacy skills, are usable once per reset for each purchase. In the base skills, there is the magic dart skill, which is what I call always on or always active. There are a couple of the legacy skills that are like that as well, and you should see that in the detailed description. I'm gonna switch to the rule book real quick, and I will go over the base skills sort of line by line. Gonna speed through a bunch of them because a lot of them are fairly self-explanatory. So all of the skill strikes function exactly like spell strikes, and all of the skill strikes operate as the spell of that name. So skill strike disarm functions like a disarm spell. If there's any questions there, I'm happy to answer them, but I don't know that there's a whole lot more to say. I will say, so the prereq here on the chart says weapon +2. In the detailed description, it is more clear. That is, you can get one of these for each +2 proficiency. Functions just like slaves. And if you want to get all of them for each +2, you can. So you could have disarm, destroy, trap, fear, and wither limb for each +2 you have. So if you have weapon prof +4, you can have 2 of each of those skills. They don't replace slays, no, they are in addition to slays. You can get a slay and then all of those. You can see on the screen there that mute is different. It's a little something for the rogue folks. So that prereq there is backstab +3, functions the exact same way. Every +3 backstab, you can get your assassinate, and you can also get your skill strike mute if you want it. Where I'm going to spend a little more time is on these. Let's talk about damage boost real quick. I sort of missed that one. Damage boost is a +5 damage to a combat. It is not a spell, but it functions like an enchantment spell for the purposes of that stacking requirements or limitations. Excuse me. I'm going to scroll down to the detail. Yes, purchase strength. That's a good question. Purchase strength will count towards those skill strike abilities just like it does for profs. And yes, somebody asked for disarm wither limb, you need to state the weapon or limb. Yes, that is correct. Just like the spell or spell strike as it exists now. All right. So the damage boost allows you a character to call the increase of damage they call by 5 for 1 combat. So you currently call 10 normal, you activate a use of damage boost, you call 15 normal for that combat. Pretty self-explanatory. Where I want to spend a little more time on some of these new abilities that are a little different and don't have sort of an analog already in-game. First is the ability Second Wind. So the requirement here is 5 levels of Fortify, and this is also, I believe, warrior only. So this is a skill that when activated, the character regains 10 plus double the level and body. I like the example I used in the book because it's easy math. So a 15th level fighter, 15 times 2 is 30. Add 10 to that, you get 40 total body. It's activated on a 3 count, so activating Second Wind 1, activating 2, 3, blah, blah. And you must be conscious in order to activate this ability. If you are webbed or imprisoned, that is fine, you are conscious, but if you are slept or something like that, cannot use it. And if activating it would take you over your normal max body, it will not take you over your total maximum. So if your maximum is 50 and your 15th or your maximum is 45 at 15th level, and you activate this ability when you're only down 25 body, you go back to 45. And you can purchase this ability once for every 5 levels of Fortify that the character possesses. So 10 levels, you get a second use. 15 levels, you get a third use, and so on.
Daryl, we have a specific question about per combat in the chat, but could you just remind everybody in general what a combat is?
So generally, combat is when you are actively engaged or attempting to engage. There you go, Jesse. Offensive or defensive actions, direct engagement with an opponent for at least 10 seconds. So the specific question is, Ryan being a little self-deprecating, which I appreciate. So Rory gets dropped and then saved by someone. Are they still in the same combat? If Sir Rory is down for 10 seconds or less, that would be yes. But if you're down for 45 seconds and you're 1 minute bleed out, that combat would be over for you. All right, that's a good question. Good backtrack. Going to move on from second wind, unless there are any other questions there, and to the next new ability. And again, this is also fighter only because of the fact that the prerequisite for her herself is the second wind ability. So this is a skill that will allow a character to spell one detrimental battle magic, mind effect, or metabolic effect on themselves. It includes toxins, diseases, poison, drain life, charm, friendship, paralysis, etc. You can read it there. You can read it in the whole book. Activated on a 3 count, so hurt self 1, hurt self 2, hurt self 3, and the character must be both conscious and aware of the status effect in order to activate this ability. The first question we got asked when we started discussing this ability is, what if I have multiple effects on me? Congratulations, you're activating this ability. You get to say which effect falls off. And if you have multiple uses and multiple effects, you can absolutely use them back to back, but you have to do that 3 count every time. Any questions there? I'll take a second to drink, get some water, and I see my time. You vocalize the effect so that the question was, do you vocalize the effect and can it be seen it's done? You absolutely need to vocalize so that the monster or other player or whoever you're fighting knows you're not just not taking the spell effect or combat effect, whatever it may be. Sorry, there's a lot of questions. I've got stuff up on both screens, and my good screen's got the screen share, so it's a smaller screen. Zach, our intent is for it to be to let Adam paralyzes Cassius. Our intent is to let the plot member or monster player know what's going on, so you're not a big fat cheater. But again, subject to change. If it is adversely affecting combat encounters, we can make it so that there's a visible in-play effect. Does that make sense?
I do think, depending on what the effect is, sometimes it would be noticeable once you have purged self.
Right. Well, yeah. Like if you're life drained or poisoned and vomiting everywhere, you would stop acting like you're vomiting everywhere. But a paralyzed, you could absolutely continue to stand still.
Same with the honesty truth lie. So there are some that it is out of play, but in instances where there are actual in-play things that are happening that couldn't be hidden, there is a visible effect as well.
Okay. Moving on to the next. And for those folks that don't play fighters, warriors, myself included, as Jesse mentioned, a lot of this rework was spurred both by the legacy system and the warrior skill trees. So it may seem like we're talking a lot about fighter warrior specific stuff. There's stuff for everybody here. There's just a lot of the change is around them. The next item, or the next skill, excuse me, is sidestep. The prerequisite is 2 fatal blows or fatal parries. Same thing. This is essentially, for lack of a better word, this is a dodge for the warrior. You will notice I said dodge. It cannot be used as a dodge block. There are other defensive abilities that the fighter types already have that can help protect someone else. And you go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to go back. There was one question we missed. Finish describing this one first.
And you'll see that second paragraph, that you may not place yourself between a victim and an attacker after the attack has been announced. So you can't heroically dive in front of the disintegrate packet and save your buddy. Or you can, but then you got to take it. So, Brian, good luck with that. Alright, man, sorry, backtrack.
Yeah, no, good point. The question we missed on perch self was if you know you're charmed, i.e., could you perch self yourself if you don't know you're charmed?
I mean, yeah, if someone that you trust could convince you that you are, you could try and burn a perch self to do it, but if you're on a trail alone and get charmed, you just think that person's your best friend. But if I'm trying to think of somebody that people would actually believe. But if Miles, tells Kilo, hey, you got charmed, you need to use this ability, after Kilo cursed him out a little bit, and she might try it.
Miles is the one who charmed me, so he wouldn't do that. But
exactly. All right. Sorry about that. That was what I missed. So yes. So sidestep. If there's any questions there, happy to answer it. It's pretty self-explanatory. Non-surprise, non-area effect. And a call out would be sidestep to differentiate from dodge, which is a rogue specific ability. And then I mentioned the prereq, so this can be purchased for every 2 fatal blows or parries, so 2, 4, 6, etc. Spell parry reflect. This is a reworking of one of the abilities that was in the, I forget the actual name it had, but it was the shield specific warrior skill trees. So the prereq here is critical slay and parry. It functions basically the same as it did previously. It allows the warrior, or actually I think this is, I can't remember. There's so many abilities that I wrote so much about. So spell parry reflect, one of the key differences here, it is available for everyone, assuming they can meet the prerequisite requirement. So it would allow the character to reflect one magical attack that has struck them, operates just like the reflect spell. The activation would be spell parry reflect. The big difference that folks may note here, especially those of you who were fighter types that did not use shield, is there is no requirement or prerequisite of the shield skill. So this can be used by any character who can meet the prerequisite, which is just having a slay. And you can purchase one of these for each slay/parry that you have. And all spell parry skills may only be used once per combat. That is the same as prior. Cool. All right. The last of the base skills is a scholar-only skill. So the spellcasting or spell column. I mentioned it, sort of name dropped it a little bit earlier. Magic Dart. So this skill allows a character to throw packets for 2 points of magic damage. So you can call 2 magic and throw your packet. It functions like elemental packet damage, in that it can be blocked by shields. It is different in that you do not have to plant your foot. You can move. Page 20 for the other thrown attacks as to what blocks it, that sort of thing. It is magical damage, so it absolutely can be used for the purposes of killing strikes. Where this skill is unique is that you can buy it up to 4 times, so the initial purchase would be that 2 magic damage. You can buy it 3 additional times, up to a maximum of 5 magic if you purchase it 4 times, and it is available always. There's a lot of questions coming through, so I'm going to take a second to look at those. So if I were to have 3 slays and 2 shield parries, no, it is the critical slay / critical parry. So Ryan, in your 3 slays and 2 shield parry example, you can purchase it 3 times. That would be the spell parry reflect that was being questioned. Spell parry skills may only be used once per combat. Is that 1 spell parry or 1 of each? It is, as written, 1 spell parry per combat. I'm reading the questions out just for the recording in case folks don't want to follow the chat in the recording. Does this being the spell parry, follow the same rules as per slaves, i.e. you can parry anybody within arm's reach? Yes, it does. Templars can have dark, ? No, it is scholar only. And all the others were text responses to questions that I also answered, so folks that are listening in later can hear. Alright, so that is all the base skills. I'm going to switch back to the sort of overview and talk about the legacy skill system really quickly. Probably not that quickly. I don't want to lie to y'all. So the big change number 1, that mentor apprentice requirement part of the legacy skill system has been removed. All legacy skills are now either that 1 use per purchase, per reset per purchase, like slays or dodges or whatever, or those always on abilities like weapon props, backstabs. The legacy skills are no longer purchased in that 3-tier format. They are now purchased at level milestones, starting specifically at level 25, and then you get another legacy skill every 5 levels. So you have your second one at 30. At 40, you would have a maximum of 4. I say maximum, that is the maximum you can have. You do not have to have it. If you want none, you don't have to buy any. And also there's the potential for legacy skills to interact with each other. So we went ahead and made a blanket statement of legacy skills may not be combined with one another. So use an example of a legacy skill, extra skill use, that lets you use a skill or ability you have an additional time. But you can't use it to gain an extra use of chain spell, which is one of the legacy skills.
And just to clarify that the level is like an unlock, but if you choose not to buy your first one at level 25, you don't lose out, right?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
You just, the level basically says how many you can have, not how many you must have. And if you want to wait until you're level 40 to buy your first one, that's perfectly fine. Oh, and for folks who live in spreadsheets most of the time, on page 283 and 284, the number of legacy skills you have, legacy slots you have available to you, and your character level. Zach, I'll check. I'll add that. I got a change log for changes that I'll make later. I'll take a look at that. Thank you. Amber, maximum of 4 meaning. So no, the spell dart or the magic dart is a base skill, not a legacy skill. You could buy that at character creation if that's what you desire.
There is a max amount of times you can buy magic dart, but it's not tied to legacy or level or anything.
All of the base, what we call base skills, you can buy at any level, assuming you can meet the prerequisite one. Ryan, legacy skills will stay. No, the mentor-mentee relationship is no longer a requirement. We heavily encourage veteran players to interact with newer players, but we want it to be because it is entertaining and the right thing to do, and not because you're getting stuff out of it. If you wait till level 40 to get your first legacy skill, do you need to wait till 45 to get your second? Absolutely not. If you wait to 40, between 40 and 45, you can buy 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes, yeah. Randy said for folks above 44 is not a hard cap. You can have more than that. You'll see the table goes all the way to level 100, which no one is. But yeah, basically every 5 levels, keep adding one if you want. So we just buy legacy skills and build like any other skill. Yes, absolutely. Again, assuming you meet the prereqs and have the available legacy slots, as it were. Oh, and then Josh apparently found that, so yay. Alright, cool. Are there any other questions before I go? I will. There's a lot of legacy skills. I'm not going to go line by line like I did with the base skills. I am happy to answer any specific questions you have. If there's anything, chances are if one person has a question, with as many people as we have in here, more than one person has it. Also, I made the rules post on the Facebook group. If you think something 5 minutes after we end this call, because that happens to me on work Zoom calls all the time, just put it in there. I'll answer it. Maybe tonight, maybe later, depending on how tired I am and how much I want to go to sleep. Just being honest with y'all. What I will do, I think I've hit everything on the little cheat sheet QRD. I will bring up. I can't put it all on one page, but I'll show the first chunk. Well, I'll zoom out a little bit, and then I can actually. Oh, I can't show all the skills. Sorry. Start off, and everybody's defined the rule book starts on page 285. So I will. There's a bunch of people typing. So I will look. So if spell parry defend operates as a defend spell, does that mean it is not expended? So the defend is the spell parry would still be defended, Garrett, just because it is a one-time use, even though it would not blow a defense. First level spell would not blow a defense spell shield. Good question, though. Because that's a really nice way to be immune to first and second level spells all the time. Just make sure you got one in your back pocket. Question on Eldritch Strike. Eldritch Strike says on Eldritch Strike, you cannot use it to go over 30. Can you use other effects to go over 30? Damn. I don't know what the damn was. Okay. Alright. So you should
cap. So basically, if I have a damage.
You should add Eldritch Strike last. Other with the exception of potentially you could add a Vorpal or like Stormblade, E-Blade after that. But like, if you have a double damage weapon and then you want the Eldritch Strike on top of that, you can't. The top of any of that is 30.
So if I use Eldritch Strike and then I apply a Vorpal coating, I still cannot exceed 30, or I can?
So normally it is the double damage or the additive damage is added last. So
okay, got it.
I would say the short answer to that is no.
Got it.
Again, it's been answered, but I'm just going to say it for folks that either are not reading chat or that are just listening to the recording later. Similar to base skills, can you purchase multiple of the same legacy skills? If yes, that counts towards the max. So, Mike answered this. You will need to reference each skill. Every skill should say whether it can be purchased multiple times or once only, or it may only need to be purchased once only if it's always on. There are some skills that are limited to a one-time purchase ever. That is was an intentional design choice. There are some that are limited to one because once you have it, you always have it and don't need to buy it again. And then there are some that you can buy multiple times. And there's even some odd ones in there. It happens to be the first one, like acquired immunity for if you have master poisoning. You can buy that as much as you want as long as you pick a different type of poison to be immune to.
But it does count towards your.
Absolutely. If you're level 40 and you want to buy acquired immunity 4 times, that's cool, but that's your 4 slots.
Do you want to ask a question?
Well,
I'm going to scroll down a bit just to see some other
when it
skills.
comes down to skill strikes, I know we've already been over that.
Mm-hmm.
Since there's skill strikes and not spell strikes, do they bypass magic defenses, right? Or can you use magic to reflect it or anything like that?
Okay, so maybe I've missed something, but I don't understand the concept of slot, and I don't understand if legacy skills can be purchased with build. What differentiates them from regular skills like Fire Their Legacy? It's not a profoundly stupid question. I'm certain that you are not the only one that has it. So legacy slot is the term I use. Basically, let me scroll back up. To this chart is look at your level.
So
if you are
the
level
rules
50,
say
you can have a maximum of 6
striking
legacy
an opponent
skills
and activating a skill strike. The warrior will announce skill strike paralyzed. The
and
skill strike
that
must simply make contact with the
that is
opponent
the key
to take
difference between
effect.
the legacy skills and the base skills. Also, the
Blocking
legacy
the strike with a
skills
weapon or shield does not hinder the
existing
skill
base
strike.
skills
Avoiding the
and
strike
either
or an
let
appropriate
them be
defense,
more or let them be
spell,
something
shield,
different,
or correct
weird,
level
or
of cloak will stop the skill strike.
Yeah, don't tie legacy to the type of point it is anymore, and instead it is specific things that you can only buy a certain amount of times based off of your level.
It works exactly like a spell strike.
Okay, so spell strikes are skill strikes.
Okay, as much as I like to read minds, uncanny defense question mark, I'm happy to answer it. It's a great ability. I love it. But what's the question about? Oh, uncanny defense. The short version is it allows rogues to break the dodge rule, the 1 dodge per combat rule. Allows rogues to use a second dodge in a single combat. Having said that, it is not a bonus dodge. It is if you have 2 dodges and you get hit with 2 disintegrates, you can use the dodge skill twice to dodge them both. Like I used as an example earlier with the previous question. It lets you take your current skills and do weird, new, interesting stuff with them. I'll just give a special thanks to Jillian, who is like citing all my answers while I'm just sitting here, sort of going off the top of my head, spitballing. Thanks, Jillian. I appreciate that. A couple folks typing, so I'll give it just a minute before I change topics. All right, Ryan, I'm going to take a little bit of offense to the whole last team, seeing as my last name is Butts and all, but I appreciate it. So, good question, Kat. This is on the second dodge use, would you say dodge or uncanny defense? So, you would say dodge. The second time you use it, you would say dodge, uncanny defense, so that the plot member or monster would know I'm not cheating. I'm using an ability. It was not 2 incinerates on a Sunday. It was 3. Just saying. And that Fire Lord was in a tavern.
And he's still bitter, can you tell?
I'm pretty sure Josh is. Oh, Josh. Oh, yeah, cool spell comes. Thanks, Josh. I'm glad somebody got my joke. Amanda, I just got your message. I think we talked about the one comment thing, right?
We did. We're good.
Okay. My phone went silent. I just looked at it. All right. I'm gonna give a last call for any questions. Again, if you think of something later, happy to answer it. Again, I will stress to everybody, this is playtest. Things can change. If you break something, congratulations. If you broke something, it'll probably change shortly thereafter. Having said that, and to piggy, it was just a choice. The question was why was drain life not included in the verb word, right? It was a choice we made. Sorry, to piggyback off what a little bit of what Jesse said earlier about the transition to an electronic character system and the respins that would happen. For those of you that are considering a respin for whatever reason, whether it be respending some current skills or respending to a different class or a different ancestry, although not as much ancestry with this stuff. Until that point, play around with some of this stuff in April, or hopefully it's only April that's going to be an issue, but play around with some of this stuff. It's a great chance to try some stuff for free. And if you don't like it, a month or two later, you get to just sell it back for free. So I would strongly encourage that. I absolutely plan to take advantage of that myself. And yeah, if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. Other than that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen at this point. I don't think it's needed anymore. And we got a couple folks typing again.
While we have folks typing, I'll go ahead and start closing us out a little bit. One thing I do want to comment on and make sure everybody is aware of is our surveys. So I know that at the end of every event, the survey typically has questions that are geared towards things that have happened that event, because we do want that event survey. So it might not necessarily be clear, but the very last question in every single survey is there anything else you want to tell us about? So that could be, how something went in the play test, right? Something's really working well, something's really not working at all. It could be, you had a really horrible encounter with someone and it doesn't really fit in any of the other questions. That is a catch-all question that we give out at the end of every single survey and at the end of every single event. So as you're encountering stuff with our play tests, or with rules and in general, if it's fresh on your mind because you literally encountered it in that event, please use those surveys. We do read them. We do look at them. You don't have to wait until that end of year annual survey, right? Now we obviously definitely read and look at the end of year annual survey too. And similarly with that, there is that catch-all question in the annual one as well. If the survey is not your style, you can always email either all of staff@shadowmoor.org, or if you want to, you can reach out to Jesse and myself directly at owner@shadowmoor.org. All of this stuff does get read and seen and discussed with steering committee. You can certainly, of course, talk to Jesse and I or staff on site as well, but I will request that after you've talked to us, please still either fill out a survey or send an email, because my brain does not retain this stuff. So we definitely want to have those conversations with you as you have questions, and answer them when you have questions. But if it's actual feedback that we're going to need to take back to the table, please make sure it gets to us in one of those two formats of email or survey feedback. And now I'll turn it back over to Daryl to answer anything that came through while I was talking.
All right. A lot of it was jokes amongst each other. Definitely good surveys. All right, Fane, thank you for that. It is +1 for 4 or 5 for Orcs and Ogres. I missed that change, so that's on me. I will go ahead and add that to my change log immediately. It's absolutely still very nice.
And yes, as Jillian said, we've been looking at surveys and collating data, and trying to incorporate that feedback into these changes. We also had a team that was some players and some staff that spent a really long time going through this, tearing apart, trying to find balance and things between it. We appreciate everybody that helped with that. There were a lot of weekly meetings and things that went into this, and people did a great job trying to think past the gimme response that we all have of that'd be really fucking cool, I want that, to what's actually legitimately balanced for the whole game. And so we do really appreciate people that put the time and effort into, trying to make this balance, trying to make it, and an improvement on the system that we had without losing too much. And then the folks that took the time to articulate it in a way that everybody could understand and get it on paper for us, or on digital for us in one form or another. But because we've been working on actually changing the system for almost a year. So really grateful to the folks that have put the time and energy into it, and really, really do want to hear your feedback about whether, what we got right and what needs to be looked at again.
Yeah, I'll echo just one last time. The group that worked on this, we spent a lot of time together. I'm pretty sure I cursed at everyone involved, including Jesse and Amanda, and they all cursed at me. But it was a curse of love. I feel like we got a good product out of it. And yes, I cursed some folks more than others.
We know cursing is your love language, Daryl. It's cool.
It is.
Awesome. Well, with that, some general reminders. Our March event is March 8th. It is right around the corner. Plot is open. They are receiving emails, so if you need to get a plot email in, get a plot email in. They have a great and fun and exciting year planned for you. I'm really excited to see what they have planned for March. Don't forget to submit cabin registrations. Don't forget to do all of that fun logistic stuff that comes at the beginning of the year. Go through all your tags and magic items and make sure you have all the things that you need for your character so that you can come into play and have all that stuff, right? So brush the cobwebs off of your brain and off of your weapons, and we will see you guys in March.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for coming out.